front row, Boris Said with Brian Vickers, Greg Biffle, Kyle Busch, Kenny Schrader, Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Newman, and Mark Martin in a new ride this year. Jeff Gordon with Jeff Burton. One rookie, David Gilliland. He shares row 7 with Tony Stewart. Casey Kane and Bill Elliott, Dale Jr., Elliott Sadler, Kurt Busch, and Kevin Harvick. And last year's winner, Denny Hamlin, drew the final spot in the field.
Let me see if I can talk to the pole sitter here real quick. DJ, it's DW up in the Fox booth, buddy. Can you get a copy here?
Loud and clear.
What you gonna do, dude? I mean, you're on the pole and look like you're in pretty good shape. Can you stay up there?
No, I hope so, Darrell. This is more of a test session for us, and it's a good place for us to start to see what our car does out front. And hopefully I can get the lead here and hold it for a while, or this whole first segment anyway. We'll do what we can. And, you know, very competitive field, but this UPS Toyota should be just fine.
All right, we'll be watching, and you got to hold her wide open now.
See if I can hold it wide open.
10-4, but good luck.
Jared, a 3-time winner of what is now the Budweiser Shootout. Opposite Scott Riggs, who missed the Daytona 500 but stormed back to have a great season, winning both poles at Lowe's Motor Speedway last year.
And the real challenge for these guys, you heard Jeff Hammond talking about the tire that doesn't have as much grip. And then when we interviewed Dale Earnhardt Jr., he said his car is pushing. That means he's turning the front wheel going through the corner and the front end just sliding. And a lot of that is the product of the harder tire that Goodyear's brought here. The reason they brought a tougher tire is these guys have bigger fuel tanks right now. So Goodyear was being a little more conservative with the tire because of that.
Only 3 times in the past 10 years has this race been won from a starting spot inside the top 10. Does it matter? Anywhere you start is a good spot.
It just seems to me the further back you are, the better off you are. It happens time and time again. Guys in the back, they get that big suck down the back straightaway from the draft, go right to the front. Kind of a set and duck out front right now.
The East Banking, turn 4, banked 31 degrees, steeper than the roof of your house. The pace car will lead them off turn 4 down the 1,200-foot short chute. The pace car will dive to pit road, and you'll hear those words you've longed for since last year.
DW, I've been waiting over 6 months to tell you, buddy. Reach up there and pull those belts tight. One more time. Let's get her done.
All right, folks. I've been waiting for this all winter long, too. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Off turn 2.
What a sight. Look at that. It's like Christmas lights flashing. Cars all over the place, just running so close together.
Riggs, Vickers break out front.
And they're able to get to the bottom of the racetrack. The best friend you have besides drafting partners is that yellow line at the bottom of the racetrack.
Do you know how much confidence it takes and how much trust you have to run that close to somebody at 190 miles an hour?
And here comes Vickers. Riggs leads the first lap, and Vickers brings the outside lane on by. Kyle Busch now second. Jimmy Johnson in 48 fighting for third.
Now, last night in practice, it seemed like the bottom line against the bottom of the racetrack was moving, but so far, after about a lap and a half, looks like the outside line is moving.
Fourth is Mark Martin in the Army Chevy. Stewart drops low, and then orange number 20 tacks on to Johnson, and Kevin Harvick right behind Tony Stewart moves up.
Tight formation right now, 3 wide back here. Jeff Gordon kind of caught in the middle. That's not a good place to be, not comfortable. Mark Martin right there in 4th place in the Army car. He's looking pretty good, too.
Jeff Burton, last year's Daytona 500 pole sitter, now leads the outside lane, but he's back at 8th place.
A couple of tear-offs flying off the windshield. I saw go by there. Doesn't hurt anything. It's plastic.
And that goes over the windshield kind of to give a protective covering over it and where they can pull it off instead of trying to clean it.
Right now, what the guys are doing, they're jockeying for a position. They're just trying to find a place they can fall in line. They're probably going to try to get single file here pretty quickly and then do what I said, analyze.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car behind Bill Elliott in the 37 car. Looks like Dale Earnhardt Jr., he's in a box right there. He can't go forward.
Yeah, they'll get sorted out here pretty quickly. Boy, Junior's car is moving around a lot like it did last night. That car was very uncomfortable. And, Larry, I just saw 7,700 RPM on our tack. That's a lot of RPM for these engines with the restrictor plate.
That 37 was the 1987 winner of the shootout, Bill Elliott. That car looking a little loose off the corner.
I just think Junior's car, either the car's not handling right or, look at the rookie.
Kevin Harvick. He's no rookie. Darrell just likes to call him that.
I call him a rookie.
New leader is Kyle Busch, and look who he's brought to the party. Tony Stewart.
That 20 car, he's been working his way up there lap by lap. He wants the lead for this thing.
Watching from our DLP Ultimate Picture Cam, suspended over the start-finish line in Triola here at Daytona.
That's like a restart. They're all lined up like they're going to restart. Whoa, Tony. Easy, boy.
Now you see Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car on the high side. Kyle Busch's teammate, he's trying to get a little brigade up there to push that outside line to the front. Looks like he's going to get a shove off turn 2 from Kevin Harvick, side by side down the backstretch.
You're riding with Denny Hamlin, last year's winner. He's come up into the top 10 from 21st.
Now it looks like Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car. He's making his way to the front now.
You know who he's looking for, Larry.
He's looking for that 20 car.
He's looking for the 20 car. They work really well together. They run well together.
Still no clear advantage. 5 laps complete. Still double and triple file.
Now they look like they almost had Kyle Busch in the 2 car trapped in the middle. You really can't go in the middle. It's either outside or on the bottom.
Boy, that's so treacherous off of turn 2 when you come off of there 3 wide. You get that dreaded old push they talk about coming off there, and something's got to give.
Last lap, 184.5 miles an hour. Still running double file.
And you'll hear us go an octave up when we're talking about 3 wide like they're trying to get there. The racetrack's plenty wide enough, but remember, we keep talking about it. Over 185 miles per hour bouncing around.
There's 3 lanes. There's just not enough room for 3 cars.
Back at 11th place is Jeff Gordon, 2-time winner of the shootout. Here's Dick Bergman.
And almost as soon as the green flag dropped, Mike, he was talking about the water temperature going up in his number 24 car. Gordon with an overheating problem. To Matt.
Dick, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Tony Stewart, DW documented how they're such great unofficial teammates. As you see Stewart sort of shuffled out. The thing is, everyone else knows it too. They try to keep the 2 of them apart. They try to pin those 2 out so they can't work together. As you can see, they're not together now, but they're trying.
And I wish you would look at that gaggle of cars behind them. I mean, they are still 3 wide off of turn 4.
That's good news for Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Kyle Busch, who lead this race. But look back there in the middle of that hurricane.
We're having casual contact in that little crowd right there. Just saw Gilliland bounce off of somebody. I think it was Vickers maybe he just bounced off of.
Brian Vickers in the middle, David Gilliland. And that M&M's 38 up high. There they are. And in the inside, Denny Hamlin. Kenny Schrader in the 21.
There. 1 inside.
Now what you're hearing is these guys, they have a spotter. It's a pair of eyes up on top of the grandstand here that's telling everything about that, what's around that race car to these drivers.
And this is what we see here quite often, breaking up into 2 packs. We'll see what happens when we come back.
Welcome back to the Budweiser Shootout, where it's been single file all through the break, and now things heat up. Kyle Busch to the outside. Yeah, Jeff Burton as Tony Stewart comes to second. Kevin Harvick still leads, but for how long? Here comes Stewart on the bottom.
Not for long. Finally made it to the front. I mean, that car is fast. And look at him. You can see the guys that can run wide open off the corner, and there's one of them, that 20 car.
And look at Kyle Busch in the 2-car run right up on the quarter panel of Jeff Burton. We're hearing that these guys are complaining about getting a little loose, and when a car does that, it even makes it looser, makes the back end want to come around.
11 laps are complete. After lap 20, they'll get a break to work on these cars, and then the 50-lap shootout finale. Steve?
Mike, the first words I just heard Dale Earnhardt Jr. say a lap ago, just got loose in turns 3 and 4. He's lost some positions.
There he is behind Kurt Busch. Scored as 4th.
But that looseness could go away, because one of the things that happens is you burn off fuel, the car gets a little tighter, and everybody's been complaining about push. Whoa, did you see Stewart? That car jumped right sideways on him.
But I think a lot had to do with where Kurt Busch in that 2-car was right there on his quarter panel, Darrell. Made him loose like he did Jeff Burton a while ago.
Look what else it's done. When he got loose, the whole pack came right to him.
Tightened everything up, and that's what happens. The guy in front of you has to squeeze out of the throttle, and you don't have time to react to it. That's what causes these accidents. Watch this. He's down on the bottom. And this is where the track's pretty rough. He's got the 2-car Busch right on his tail. Now Harvick's out there where he sucks a little air off of him. He goes in there sideways. That's what you call loose end.
And all that's happening, and the track has all those dips in it too. It just magnifies that.
Quite a save at 185 miles an hour.
Now a normal guy would slow down, but he just kept on going.
Stewart has already won twice this year. Open wheel races at Fort Wayne, Indiana, and the famed Chili Bowl in Tulsa. Looking for his 3rd win of the year. Krista?
Well, if you saw Greg Biffle at the start of the race, he dropped back like a rock. Starting 5th, he's currently running 16th. It's kind of just a victim of the draft. He says he's not sure if there's anything wrong with the car. If so, he's not sure what it is. He's trying to just hang in the draft and hold on until they make their stop. He started 5th again, dropped back, currently running 16th.
It's the first time that Gilliland has ever been in a race at Daytona in a Nextel Cup car.
He's in the sucker hole now. He's in the middle, and you can hear him lifting off the throttle. He can't stay wide open now.
6 laps away from the break. Tony Stewart leads Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale Jarrett's view of the shootout field, and look who's up to 5th place. Ken Schrader, 50 years old, in his 17th Budweiser shootout, a 2-time winner. That last victory coming 17 years ago. And there's Schrader in the Wood Brothers Air Force number 21.
And now is when you can really tell who's got a good handling race car, who can still partially, almost all the way, hold that thing wide open around here. Maybe squeeze it out a little bit, but not a lot.
Because when those cars start to get loose and they start to push the front end, the steering wheel doesn't fix it. You have to start rolling.
You got to roll up out of the gas. You don't have a lot of horsepower, and you kill your momentum.
2 laps to the end of the first segment. And then they'll get a chance to work on these cars. All of these drivers will be competing at Daytona 500 qualifying tomorrow on Fox, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. They will not be using the same cars they're racing tonight in the Budweiser shootout.
You know, one car that was working his way to the front, now you see him back there, the DuPont, the 24 car, Jeff Gordon. Remember, Dick Berggren talked about the car is running hot. They put tape on the nose of these cars where the air flows to cool the water in the radiator. The more tape you put on it helps the aerodynamics, but it also can heat the water up.
I mean, Larry, look at the opening he's got. He's got just a little bit of an opening at the bottom of the grill at the top, and then that teeny bitty hole at the bottom. That's not much opening for traffic.
Couple more to the break, couple more.
That was his crew chief, Steve Letarte. So you would have to believe one of the adjustments they'll make during this break is take a little bit of that tape off.
And that upsets the balance of the car. So now you got to be able to remember, when I take that tape off, I got to maybe make another little adjustment to go along with it.
Kevin Harvick from Bakersfield, one of 5 native Californians in this race. 4 drivers from North Carolina, 2 from Virginia. He leads Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, Kurt's younger brother Kyle, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. And those first 7 cars, they've found the short way around, right down against the yellow line, bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, you see as we go along here, coming to the 20-lap mark, at this front 7 here, 7 or 8, and then there's another group that's kind of falling back.
And I really believe Tony Stewart in the 20 car, he was content once he got there to stay behind Kevin Harvick in the 29 to get to this lap 20.
20 complete, and as the field comes to the back straightaway,
watch your back.
the caution is out. The drivers will come to pit road, and for 10 minutes they'll be able to perform routine maintenance and changes. Then we'll go at it again.
Man, I'm glad we got that break in. Whew. I'm out of breath.
Pit road is open. 5 different drivers led laps in those first 20 lap segment. Here's Krista.
The rookie David Gilliland just brought his car in for his very first pit stop at Daytona. The contact that was made with Kevin Harvick made his car tight. He thought the right fender was pushed in a little bit. That's the change they need to make. Matt.
Tony Stewart has already shut his car off. Service has already been completed. Just taking a look at the front of the car and also around the side, you can see Jason Shapiro checking out the valence. But Smoke says the car really strong at this juncture. Steve?
Well, Matt, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was really excited at the end. He told Tony Eury Jr., hey, man, we were getting it done. This car's pretty decent. I need to get some help. I'm tired of being the helper. The car was running a little bit hot, so they took a little bit of tape off the grill on the nose of the car. Dick Berggren.
Well, Kevin Harvick has been leading this race for so many laps, and that's a big surprise because the car was not good in practice. It wasn't handling well at all. But before he came in, Harvick told the crew he had not lifted his foot off the floor since the drop of the green flag. Handling so well, he has been running wide open all the way. Just a tad free, he said. So they've adjusted the air pressure in the tires just a little tiny bit to fix that. Virtually no adjustments to the car that was leading when that yellow flag came out.
Only one car on pit road had the hood up, and it was this one, the Lowe's Chevrolet of Jimmy Johnson. We'll find out why when we come back. We're at the break after 20 green flag laps. We have 50 laps to go in the Budweiser Shootout of 2007.
On race day with NASCAR Hot Pass only on DirecTV. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. And by Pizza Hut. Want more cheesy bites? Get America's favorite pizza. Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, the Hollywood Hotel trackside. After 20 laps at the Budweiser Shootout, history made here. Historic. Brian Vickers leading a lap in a Toyota. Kevin Harvick, your leader from back of the pack. What else has caught your eye?
Well, what else has caught my eye? The aggressiveness of this whole group. I mean, ever since the start of the green flag or dropped the green flag, take a look at Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car. They had to call down and tell him, or tell his crew chief, Tony Eury Jr., settle him down a little bit. Donuts on the side of a super speedway car, that's not something you normally see.
And what about Dale Jarrett, pole sitter, falling all the way back? Now, you heard both Darrell and Larry talk about, sitting back a little bit right up front, not necessarily the place to be.
No, but I think that he's got issues with his race car. He doesn't look like he's got the kind of race car that can pull back up to the front, at least in my opinion. And even though Vickers led that lap, he also went backwards also in the pack, and right there at the end of the race, he and Dale Jarrett were right at the back of the pack. So I think the Toyotas have still got a lot of work to do.
All right, let's check in with Dick Berggren. Dick?
And I'm with Jimmy Johnson. Hood up on the car. Chad Knaus underneath the rear end. What's going on?
We're just making some small adjustments. I don't think I was getting wide open throttle there. We had something floating around under the gas pedal, and it was kind of hurting me there. So this thing will be running much better now. Car was a little tight at the end of that run. So the guys are making some adjustments, and we'll see what we got.
Good luck in the second half. Steve Burns.
Well, Dick, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has a donut on the side of his car right behind that number 8. Dale, before the race, your crew chief, I asked Tony Eury Jr., is your car good? He said, yeah, the car's good, but I'm not sure about the setup. And he laughed. How about from where you're sitting?
Yeah, it ain't too bad. We were really tight in practice, and we threw a setup in there we call the baseball setup because we ran it in a baseball car here in 01. And it seems to be turning really good. I was sliding around a little bit, but pretty wild out there. I know a lot of guys aren't running right now because it's just that 20 laps really don't mean anything. So I don't think everybody's showing their cars, but we were up there trying to take the lead. I was helping Kevin or whoever I could help that's driving a Chevrolet Monte Carlo, so and trying to get the lead a little bit myself. So we'll see what we can do this next segment here.
Well, Matt, we'll see if the baseball setup is a home run in this next 50 laps.
Another Chevrolet. Kyle Busch finished 4th in the first segment. What was the biggest thing that stood out over that first 20 laps?
Probably the Stewart incident there in 1, but as far as how everybody is, it looks like the 8 car is pretty loose, and 29 looks a little tight out front. Kurt and Stewart, they look pretty stout, and we're just kind of hanging out up there. So we'll see if we can't. We're not making any changes to it, so we'll see if we can't take this Kellogg's CarQuest Chevrolet a little bit further up towards the front and get back to the lead and try to keep it there. That's what it's about here, and hopefully we can go crack a beer when this thing's over.
And also we'll see who can go, if anyone, the final 50 laps without stopping for fuel. This 5 team, they felt like from practice, Chris Devoto, that they were about 5 laps short. But you know what? You never know here at Daytona.
That is so true. Like perhaps a rookie running in the top 10. That's what David Gilliland was doing before contact made his car tight. The window net's going up. We were going to ask David. I was talking to him a bit before. He said the car was so good. He was talking to his crew chief, Todd Parrott. He said before that tight condition, before the contact with Kevin Harvick, he could do anything he wanted. His crew chief, Todd Parrott, said, David, you did the smart thing. Take care of the car. Get this 20-lap segment. We got plenty of time to work on it. 3 minutes left to go while they sit here. When he gets back out, they think they're going to have a car that can work with others and can do something here in this shootout. Chris?
Thanks, Krista. With Jeff Hammond, Tony Stewart loose after taking the lead, currently second. You heard Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying, hey, these first 20 laps don't mean a whole lot, but what are we seeing?
Well, what I'm seeing right now, the guys that are handling the best have been able to stay up toward the front, and particularly guys like Stewart, the Kevin Harvick car. We talked and heard from our crew down on pit road that if you make any kind of bumps or bangs, the next thing you know, you're in trouble, just like the 38 car. So got to have a good handling car.
5 different leaders, 6 different lead changes, averaging about 184 miles per hour. 50 laps to go at the Budweiser Shootout here in Daytona.
20 laps complete in the Budweiser Shootout. 50 laps to go. We've had the 10-minute break for everyone to make adjustment. Hood was up on Jimmy Johnson's car and that of Jeff Burton. Everyone is now pulled out from their pit stall except Jeff Gordon. You see his DuPont Chevy now beginning to roll, and they will resume the positions they were running in at the time of the caution flag after 20 laps.
If you thought you could run 50 laps, you do not want to crank that engine or go out on the racetrack until they are ready to roll. And I tell you another thing, if we could listen to some of the end cars, you hear them cutting the engine off and coasting, that's another dead giveaway too.
Nick Berggren?
You sort of flop around pit road, you can find stuff like this. Is some of the tape that they took off the nose of Jeff Gordon's car. And oh, by the way, as for strategy, he said that it felt as if the car would only go about 5 more laps on the tires. So they're thinking about maybe making a pit stop and firing some rubber on it before this 50-lap segment ends.
Well, and I think that's going to be the huge story in this 50 laps. Jeff Hammond talked about it, talked about the tires are sliding around, and we've been talking about this fuel. And again, just to maybe tune in our viewers that just are coming to us, is these fuel cells, you can only go about 45 to 48 laps. This is a 50-lap segment. So these guys are thinking about, okay, can we gamble and try to go that distance to try to win this race?
I think you can sit back here at the back of this field like Dale Jarrett did earlier and part throttle it, and if you got her packed full and you're right on the limit, don't count anybody out from doing it.
70 hours of coverage across Speed Week 2007 on the Fox networks. Tomorrow, Daytona 500 qualifying presented by Pizza Hut, 2 p.m. Eastern time here on Fox. Thursday, the starting lineup for the Daytona 500 will be set on Speed Channel in the Gatorade Duels, twin 150-mile races. Friday, it's the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race on Speed. Sunday, race day on Speed gets you ready for the Daytona 500. Coverage at 2 p.m. Eastern time here on Fox.
And those dual races on Thursday, they could be the most intense races of Speed Weeks, because after that, we will know who will be in the Daytona 500 and who will not.
A lot of takers
100, second gear.
on pit road. Stewart,
Earnhardt,
Kane, Johnson are on pit road. Riggs, Newman, and more.
And what are they doing?
They're topping the fuel tank off.
Matt?
That's exactly right. That was the game plan from the time they left pit road, as it was for a few other teams to come back in, top off. That way, they can make it the distance.
Boris said Denny Hamlin and David Gilliland also stopped to top off the fuel.
Now, we need to make this point. Is you made the statement, Mike, that they will restart this second segment by how they finished the first segment, but all those cars that just hit pit road, they gave up that position. It was actually a race off pit road, but I think that could be more important having that fuel in there.
It is, because it's a double file restart. So it's just like a restart of a regular race. You're not going to start single file or anything like that. So it's not a bad move.
As David Gilliland got ready to go back to action, Little Raymond Fox III, I saw putting up the window net. His grandfather, Fox's grandfather, Ray Fox, was the winning owner and mechanic the last time a foreign make car raced in NASCAR. August 1963, Junior Johnson led all 200 laps up at Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem.
Now that's Todd Parrott, which is actually David Gilliland's crew chief right there.
All restarts double file in these last 50 laps. So Kevin Harvick has Kurt Busch alongside. Busch came to the caution in 3rd place, but 2nd place Tony Stewart was one of those who ducked onto pit road. So Busch inherits the outside of the front row for this restart.
Now you may think that couldn't have made a big difference, just that lap and a half and coming back on pit road, but these cars only get about 6 3/4 miles to the gallon.
And they need to get 7 to make it. So gotta try it on the edge. That's the kind I like.
We'll take this restart from our DLP Ultimate Picture Cam. Pace car to pit road. 50 laps to go. Green flag.
Casey Kane in the 9 got a great restart. He was able to give Jeff Burton a good push in the 31, who in turn gave Kurt Busch in the 2 car a great push.
Kurt Busch the leader. Jeff Burton in 2nd. Elliott Sadler in the Dodge 19 on the outside of Harvick for 3rd.
And here come the hounds. When you're sitting out front like that, you better pick the right lane to fall in front of. Look like, man, Harvick's car is loose on this restart, which tells me they probably freed the car up a little bit so it wouldn't be so tight at the end of this run.
And Kurt Busch leads a lap for the first time in this Speed Weeks.
Look at that 29 car Harvick's, that thing is fast.
Stewart trying to thread the needle on the right of your screen and takes it 3 wide or right up the middle and then drops to the outside.
It's such great track presence when you know where you are and where everybody is around you without even having to look. You can feel it. I believe that's some of that sprint car training where you drive without a rear view mirror.
We're going to let you feel it and enjoy all that surround sound and all this horsepower and 185-mile-an-hour speed. Let's crank it up. Stretch going to turn 3.
I see a bad moon horizon. Tornado is picking up. Winds are blowing.
We've got 19 cars less than a second separating them right now.
Tony Stewart is just wearing the back end of that 31 car out, and he's going to squeeze his way to the outside.
He's got Harvick behind him. Stewart just made his own room up on the outside, and he is up to 4th behind Kurt and Kyle Busch. The brothers from Las Vegas are hooked up like a pair of dice.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 8 car made a move to the inside, and he got around Mark Martin in the 01. He's headed back to the front.
The Busch brothers battle for the lead.
Looks like a covey of whales.
Fast ones.
Biggins.
Schrader on the bottom behind Kurt Busch.
And he took a peek to the inside. Kurt Busch in the 2 put the block on him.
Kurt's been up there kind of holding his own.
But now look at the push that Kyle Busch in the 5 is getting from Tony Stewart in the 20 on the high side.
Believe it or not, these guys know what they're doing. They're really, these guys are really good at what they do. You got to be able to do this.
185 miles an hour, closer together. then people line up at the stoplight.
And you can just see them bouncing around the whole time.
You're not, a lot of times you're not steering the car. Ooh,
contact. Biffle and Schrader got together. Biffle in the 16 right in the middle. Everybody trying to scatter around him.
And Jeff Burton was fishtailing through the tri-oval.
Looked like he had contact with Schrader's 21, and the loss of momentum sent the field scrambling to either side.
Dale Jr. said that first 20 laps didn't mean anything. I thought he was just kidding. He wasn't kidding.
No, he was not.
Now they're showing what they got.
Let's see that again.
I don't know if I want to see it again or not. This is wild right here.
Watch the 16, Biffle.
Here comes Junior up under him.
Oh, yeah.
Bounced off Schrader, the 21, and bounced to the inside.
And then watch the 29 got into the back of his teammate 31 of Burton, and they were fishtailing.
The contact did not slow Schrader, but Biffle had to lift out of the gas. Last win for the Wood brothers at Daytona, July 1983, Buddy Baker winning the Firecracker 400. The Wood brothers have 13 Cup race wins here.
Well, in 1998, two brothers finished first and second in this race. The Wallace brothers, Kenny and Rusty.
Tell you what, I've been watching Kurt Busch, that 2-car. He's driving it out the back window about as much as he's driving it out the windshield. Last time through 1 and 2, he put the block on his brother Kyle Busch in the 5.
You want to see if blood is thicker than water? Watch these two brothers in the 2 and the 5.
Brotherly love. Oh, brother, we're out.
High to the low.
Oh, we're out there, old brother.
He says, not yet. But now Kyle Busch is getting that push again from Tony Stewart in the 20.
Let's find out if there's any damage to Greg Biffle's car from that contact with Schrader. Krista?
No word of any damage on the radio. Greg Biffle talking to his spotter, Joel Edmonds, as we speak. Joel said, good job, buddy. You know, he just lost a little bit of momentum. He was running in the middle. He had been working on the bottom a little bit, but squeezed up to the middle, and that's when he got pinched in there a little bit. But he had a tight condition earlier. Said the car's working pretty well. Right now, he's just trying to run on the bottom and get some momentum back. He dropped from 6th all the way down to 12th with that contact.
I think that's what Kyle was trying to tell Kurt. I'm a little better in the front, buddy. Follow behind me.
Kyle Busch competing in his second Budweiser Shootout is your leader. The Budweiser Shootout on Fox is sponsored by Toyota. Moving forward. "31 laps complete. Kyle Busch still the leader over his older brother Kurt, Brian Newman, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, the front 5. What was a 21-car freight train is now 20 cars. Jeff Gordon has completely lost the pack when his car shut off.
And the reason it shut off, we were listening to the radio communication during the break, is there's a kill switch on the steering wheel that's put there in case the throttle hangs. Evidently, Jeff had hit that kill switch, shut all the power off. Now, he's still on the lead lap, but the problem, he's out there by himself, and it's still not running right. Something's still not right about that race car, though. Because here comes the pack through the trial when he's going off into turn 1.
Tony Stewart up against the back bumper of Dale Jr. That is bump drafting. It is perfectly legal, and when done on the straightaways, can propel your car forward, as you just saw.
Into the lead.
Well, you heard Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car during his interview during the break. He said he wanted to lead this thing. There he goes on the outside of Kyle Busch down the backstretch.
Spent some time with Junior this week, and he told me when that grandstand rises as one, he can see them, he can sense it, and it's a huge boost to know that that sea of red is behind him. Here he comes, and here they come to their feet.
He is so loose. He's got a car on his outside, Junior, and Tony right up under the back of him. It's really dancing that car around.
Kyle Busch in the 5, really.
In the 5, that's what I'm telling you. He's doing a great job of hanging on that thing in the circumstances.
And Junior's not going to get the lead that time.
Turn 4 down here when Junior's underneath him and or on the outside of him, and Tony, watch this. That car is sideways, boys. That thing is out of here.
Jeff Gordon down on the apron will pit his Hendrick Chevrolet.
I think he'll probably just take it to the garage here because being a couple laps down with only 37 laps to go, not a lot you can salvage there. I think he'll make that left-hand turn to the garage, and he will.
This is a non-point race. It's for pride, position, bragging rights, and purse.
Right now, the cars that are going to really shine are the guys that have the best handling race cars. We're at that point in the race where you'll start to see these cars kind of spread out a little bit more. And this is when you have trouble.
Jeff Hammond.
A few minutes ago, we thought maybe Jeff Gordon had a problem with his kill switch, Mike. Right here is the kill switch that's on the steering wheel in case his throttle does stick. If he bumps this button, it will kill the engine. That's what we thought had happened early on, but obviously it's a lot more serious than that.
Now, Jeff Gordon was a little long diagnosing that because usually on their car, when you hit the kill switch, a red light illuminates on the dash, and the light was not on. So he did not initially think that was the problem.
But when he reset it, the car did take off. Now,
look at Harvick, and the 29 car got real loose there in the middle of the pack.
Go in the middle. Just about lost the best.
Yes,
he did. His voice went up about as high as ours did. Watch that 29.
It's just like the 2-car. Kurt Busch was pulling the back of that car around.
Well, once we're at that point where handling is coming into play, and if you get cars around you now and your car's not handling very good, that's what you're going to get.
The front 11 cars are now single file. 34 laps to go in the Budweiser Shootout of 2007. Kurt Busch, Elliott Sadler, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Burton, Jimmy Johnson.
That little threesome up on the outside there, the 8, the 31, and the 48. I think they're going to try to get a little run up on the outside here.
20 of 21 starters still in this race. Let's go to the garage and meet the other. Krista?
Yeah, Jeff Gordon watching his crew take a look at the car. Jeff, riding around by yourself at Daytona, never what you want to do. What happened to your car?
I couldn't even do that. We have some kind of electrical problem going on in there. It just kept cutting in and out, and I'm just glad it didn't happen right in the middle of a big pack. We had one of those nights going anyway. You know, we had overheating problems right from the beginning, and then we had some handling issues towards the end of that run, and you know, these tires are really really having a hard time getting a hold of the racetrack, and track's fast. So you know, it wasn't our night for the DuPont Chevrolet, and hopefully that 500 car's got a lot more form next Sunday than this one did tonight.
All right, Jeff Gordon hoping the bad luck is out of the way for the rest of the speed weeks, guys.
Thanks, Krista. Dale Jr. climbed the hill in turns 1 and 2. I don't think he scraped the wall, but he didn't miss it by much.
But Darrell had pointed it out. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Burton, Jimmy Johnson. Now he's back to the bottom of the racetrack right there. They had started to move up the racetrack. Now we're 20 laps into this segment here, and Darrell, when your car starts to get a little bit loose, it's a lot better to run up high. You don't have to turn the steering wheel as aggressive.
A lot of times, I know Junior likes to run that high line late in a run. It's easier on the tires, and there's a little more grip up there, actually.
Let's look at him this time into turn 1. And he is way up the racetrack. Matt?
Mike, no one wants to win a race at Daytona more than Kyle Busch's crew chief, Alan Gustafson. He grew up about 7 minutes north in Ormond Beach, Florida, graduated from local Seabreeze High School, and spent a lot of time in the garage of Smokey Yunick, the late innovator in NASCAR, who won here so many times and all throughout NASCAR. He said the biggest thing about their package, they've improved in all the different areas, but especially with the driver. He's learned to be so patient and smart in restrictor plate racing. Dick?
And Kurt Busch, car number 2, currently running in the 3rd position, also being very smart and very patient about how he is running his race. His crew chief, Roy McCauley, a few moments ago told Kurt Busch, just hang in there. We're going to be very tight on fuel. Steve.
Well, Dick DW was right. Dale Earnhardt Jr. wanted help from the 31 and the 48. Junior's crew chief Steve Mills says the problem is, Junior, they can't get to you. That's why he's not getting any help.
He's making some progress, though, up on that outside. He seems to run high in 1 and 2, and then he drops it down to the inside in 3 and 4. 1 and 2 down low is a lot rougher than it is up high. 3 and 4 is pretty smooth around the bottom. So I think he's really working his car, trying to find where it runs the best.
There's no question now that we are 22 laps into this run. We've got 27 laps to go in the race. You see them starting to string out just a little bit. That's a sign that a lot of these cars are starting to handle pretty bad.
21-year-old Kyle Busch from Las Vegas, leading two-time Nextel Cup champion Tony Stewart. Going to be able to replay and analyze incidents by isolating a single car and showing you just about any possible angle from the virtual rendition.
That's going to be very cool.
Right now, that car,
we're going to
Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 is 5th behind Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, and Elliott
Well,
Sadler.
Casey Kane, I believe that was the 9 car, got real loose. Just about hit the wall coming out of the tri-oval there.
Battling Mark Martin. This is for 7th place.
And Jeff Burton in the 31 up behind him, just to the outside of Mark Martin. You can see it just about got down.
Boy.
I mean, that's about as close as you can come to spinning out and not spinning out.
That was a wreck that never happened.
Pretty well stacked things up behind them.
I was going to say about that 3D cam, we're going to love it. I don't know if the drivers are going to like it or not, because we're going to be able to see a lot of stuff.
Now a 4-car breakaway. The Busch brothers with Tony Stewart and Elliott Sadler have some distance on the field with 22 to go.
And if indeed these cars are cutting it close on fuel, and I think we can be pretty safe to say they all are, that's about the best that they can do right there is stay in that configuration. We've got another car that's retired, Ryan Newman, the 12. We were getting a report that he felt like his motor was starting to go sour.
Newman had run as high as 3rd. Here's Dick Berggren.
Well, Larry Mack, they may be cutting it tight on tires as well as on fuel. Kurt Busch, 2 consecutive laps, talked about the car pushing, coming off the turns. So tight, he said, that he almost lost it. We heard Jeff Burton say the same thing. The pace is torrid. The tires are wearing. It's hang on tight time.
And when that thing starts to shove that nose, it's abusing that right front tire, and it's not going to get any better.
No, and what happens is it starts to shove the nose. You turn the steering wheel more and more and more to make the car turn the corner. Then all of a sudden the back end jumps sideways. That's what we've seen a couple of times here already, like on Casey Kane's car. Even though he had a little assistance, that's kind of how it looks.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. not the only driver who's found his way to the top of the racetrack in turns 1 and 2. 21 laps to go in Daytona. 18 laps to go. Caution is out. First caution of the night, other than the planned caution at the 20-lap mark.
You can about be safe to say there's about 19 drivers and 19 crew chiefs that just went, no, boy, we can come and get more tires.
They are throwing calculators and notepads there on the ground. So why did we even bother?
Well, 4 times this race had gone caution-free. Tonight will not be the 5th. And everyone who was nervously wondering as the laps wound down, and so did the fuel load. It's time for those 7 men over the wall to earn their keep, because in this instance, unlike during the break after lap 20, once you complete your service, the first car that leaves pit road will be the first car in line among those who choose to stop.
Now the pits are closed. Red flag waving, red lights on.
But Larry, for the teams that intended to gamble, what does this caution flag mean?
I mean, it throws it out the window. There's no question. We're going to get this race restarted with about 14, 15 laps to go. You've got to have 4 tires, and of course you go ahead and you put the fuel in it and make adjustments based on knowing that this is only going to be about a 12 to 15 lap run.
I'm going to get me 2 tires, and I'm going to get me just a teeny bit of gas, and I'm getting out of here.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to get 4. These tires are sliding around so bad, I believe I want 4 tires, and I bet you most of those drivers down there too.
Tony Stewart, you are a 2-time national champion. It's time to earn your money.
Well, I'm with Larry. I want 4 tires. Jeff Hammond, how about you?
Mike, you guys, tell that driver up there to be quiet and drive the darn thing. Let us crew members and crew chiefs put the tires on there.
That isn't what we called you about. What are you going to do?
4 tires. 4 tires.
Let's check up and down.
I'm gonna be by pit road entrance before you get done.
Let's get down to pit road. Krista?
Well, this caution is very good news for Denny Hamlin. Despite coming in and topping off before the second segment began, this team was preparing to be 4 laps short on fuel. So this is very good news for the defending Budweiser Shootout that they have a chance to put more fuel in their car. Matt?
A lot of conversation on Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart's radio. Now you're hearing some crew chiefs tell their drivers, make sure you don't slide your tires, keeping open the option of just taking some fuel only. Stewart says his car is great. Kyle Busch says my car's a little bit tight. Let's see how the strategy plays out. Steve?
Matt, this pit stop caution may also be a big break for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He said, I felt like my right front tire was starting to tear up. Dick?
When that yellow flag flew, you could hear the relief in Kurt Busch's voice when he called to his crew and said, 4 tires. He wants to be a little bit on the free side. That's what they're going to try to set the car up for. Kevin Harvick, who pits right in front of him, has an engine problem. He's losing power.
Everybody is on pit road. All 20 cars come to the pit lane during this caution for debris in the front straightaway near the entrance to pit road.
Denny Hamlin, 4 tires. David Gilliland, 4 tires. Tony Stewart, the 20 car, 4 tires.
Kyle Busch in first, out first.
The 19 car, Elliott Sadler, took 2 tires. Kyle Busch, the 5 car, 2 tires.
Most everyone else gets 4. So now we have a real Saturday night shootout on our hands. A dozen or so green flag laps to settle this.
Yeah, I mean, these cautions count, and we're at 54, be 55. We're only going to be about 4 laps to go when we take green.
The big gainer, Casey Kane, picks up 5 positions in the race off pit road. Dale Jr. lost a few spots as he overshot his pit box here. Welcome back to Daytona. Here's our Pizza Hut race summary. Kevin Harvick was the leader after the first segment of 20 laps and the scheduled caution flag. Jeff Gordon, electrical problems, out of the race at lap 31. His teammate Kyle Busch has led 32 laps, most of any driver tonight. Double file restart, Kyle Busch, Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin, Elliott Sadler, Jeff Burton, Mark Martin, Kenny Schrader, and Brian Vickers, the top 10. Dale Earnhardt Jr. overshot his pit, had to back up for service, and went from 3rd to 10th. We expected a green flag this time. They've waved it off. You see the lights flashing still atop the pace car. That indicates they will not restart. We'll have 1 more lap of caution. So let's get some updates on pit stops. Krista?
Well, David Gilliland, the 38, they were not planning on coming in had that caution not come out, but the car was developing a bit of a tight condition, so they made a track bar and an air pressure adjustment. David Gilliland is calm because he has a secret weapon upstairs. Ricky Rudd is spotting for him tonight, his teammate. David Gilliland has been very good all night. Matt?
The top 2 cars, Kyle Busch and the 9 of Casey Kane, they played their hand strategy-wise. 2 tires. Now Kyle Busch's crew chief Alan Gustafson, he did it basically to try to keep Kyle out front. Felt like their car was better out front, pulling the field, and stuck back 2 or 3 cars in line. So they're trying to get that 5 car to victory lane. Steve?
Well, Matt, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is pretty loose in that number 8 race car. When he overshot the pits, he said, guys, there might be something wrong with the brakes. Nah, I just made a mistake. I just wanted to start on the inside on the restart anyways. Dick?
Well, Kurt Busch took 4 tires, and his crew did a great job. He is restarting this event in the 4th spot. Jeff Burton, 4 tires. Mark Martin, 4 tires. He said if he can just get somebody to push him along, he's got a car good enough to win. Jimmy Johnson, also 4 tires. He was a little bit tight. Harvick, 4 tires. They did nothing with that engine that is losing power.
Thanks, Dick. Look at the nose of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Chevrolet. Got a bit of damage coming onto pit road. Cosmetic damage. Got a little of Elliott Sadler's white paint.
Elliott was slowing down to turn into his pits, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is well on down pit road.
Casual, very casual.
10 lead changes among 6 different drivers. Kyle Busch is leading this race. He started 6th. The last time someone started 6th or better and won the Budweiser Shootout, Tony Stewart, who started 3rd back in 2002.
One thing I like about a little conservative tire package, and that's what this is, it gives you options. You're not wearing out the tires. They're losing grip. So now you can take 2, gamble a little bit.
13 laps to race when they get to the line, and Kyle Busch is on it and in a hurry.
Kane and Kyle Busch, like Matt reported, they have the 2 tires, and I'm not sure there would be speed in the left side tires, Darrell, but I just wonder, can they maneuver it like they need to versus those guys that have 4 fresh tires?
Yeah, if you're sitting out front, don't have to do a lot of maneuvering. Just protect that yellow line like that and hang on.
Stewart has help from his teammate, last year's shootout winner, Denny Hamlin.
But Tony Stewart, as fast as his car is, with those 4 tires, he didn't need a lot to give him an advantage.
And look on the outside lane as Jeff Burton drops very low and gets back in line. In the outside lane, the Dodge boys have hooked up.
Outside, bottom of 3, bottom of 3.
And you cannot go below that yellow line and advance your position. They looked at as out of bounds.
Burton, when he had to back off, lost that momentum, precious momentum, and got freight trained on the outside. Now he's trying to work back up.
Oh boy.
And there goes Kurt Busch.
He's in trouble.
The wrong way.
He's in trouble.
That number 2 lost his drafting partner.
Boy, and he was up there fighting for the lead.
Speaking of fighting, Mark Martin's car went way up the racetrack. That's the Army car just in front of Dale Jr. And Kyle Busch draws ahead just a bit of Tony Stewart.
They think being out front's the place to be, and I believe it is too. That 5 car made a good move.
And like you mentioned, Darrell, that's what he's got to do right there. And Tony Stewart got him just a little bit loose right there, but he's got to protect that bottom. If someone's going to pass him, they're going to have to do it on the high side.
Yeah, and he's been a little loose in. We've seen that earlier tonight, particularly on these restarts.
Look who's coming. Gilliland in the 38. Pulls up. Passes Sadler. And now David Gilliland, the only rookie in this race, is back up into the top 5.
And here comes Jimmy Johnson squeezing his way in under Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin, the 11, opened the door just enough to let Jimmy Johnson in there.
Yeah, he couldn't come down because Jimmy was there.
Starter has both hands outstretched. 10 laps to go.
Junior's up on that high side, especially down here in 1 and 2. That really seems to work for him.
That keeps that engine wound up. Gives him a good run off the corner. He just doesn't have a lot of help there now. But you can see him go right by Denny Hamlin in the 11.
Shoot off that corner and down the back straightaway. Hamlin fights back. Whoa. That looked funny.
Still outside, clear. Clear all around.
Look at that 11 car.
Tony Stewart, and look who's 3rd, the rookie. Last year, Denny Hamlin won this race as a rookie. David Gilliland has never raced a Cup car at Daytona, but he doesn't know what it won't do. He's up to 3rd.
No, but his crew chief knows what it'll do, and he's got a good one.
And now they've shuffled Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car to the high side. He's going to go all the way back to the 7th position.
I think that when Todd Parrott told David Gilliland to take care of your car, we'll fix that fender that he got damaged earlier, he's been very, very patient and working himself right back to the front where he is right now.
And look at the swarm behind those front 4 single file. Everybody jumping in line, out of line. How can I get to the front?
Yeah, the buddy system isn't working right now.
Buddy system's off.
No, the buddy system's over.
Front 7 cars, single file, double file from there on back. And wait till next Sunday on Fox when the Daytona 500 starts. 43 of these cars.
Boy, did you see what?
There he goes. They almost opened the door for him.
Oh, I knew that was coming. He got him loose going in, switched over from the right to the left real quick, got him loose, pushed him out of the way.
And here comes David Gilliland back there in 2nd place in that 38 car. And there's Jeff Burton in the 31 fighting to the outside for 3rd place.
They lost a little bit of momentum there with the 5 car to 20 when they made contact. That let these guys there on the outside like Burton really close back up.
And now this is where those two tires hurt Kyle Busch back there in the pack. He definitely can't maneuver now.
Well, and it also caused him to lose a lot of grip down here in the corner when Tony got up around him the way he did.
How mad is Kyle Busch right now, and what can he do about it?
There's not a thing he can do about it right now. And just remember what we said at the top of the show. This is all about winning. There's no points. You didn't come here for just a good, solid finish.
I don't know if I like the way you said that, Larry. There's nothing he can do about it right now.
Tony Stewart trying to win his 3rd race of the year. He won at Fort Wayne, and he won the Chili Bowl in Tulsa during the NASCAR offseason. David Gilliland, whose father was a great West Coast racer. Butch Gilliland won some titles out west. David hopped in an unsponsored Busch car, partial schedule car, won a big race to the attention of Robert Yates, got the Cup ride when Elliott Sadler left in the Yates camp. Everybody said, David who? Now they know.
David against Goliath right now, and I'll tell you something. Kurt Busch in that 2 car got shuffled all the way almost to the back. There he is, back up in 4th.
Krista?
Well, we mentioned that Ricky Rudd is up top giving this driver advice when he needs it. He doesn't need any advice right now. So Earl Barbin, the spotter for the rest of the year, is back on the mic telling David that he is all clear. Now, Greg Biffle may not win this race, but he may be a prognosticator. He said about 20 laps ago, guys, David Gilliland is going to win this thing.
Thanks, Krista. We saw David march his way methodically up through the field. Never put a wheel wrong, never got out of shape, hugged the bottom of the racetrack. When other drivers made moves, he moved up to cover the spot.
5 laps to go.
Let's go back to that Tony Stewart move on the 5 real quickly, because you won't believe what Tony really moved him out of the way long before he ever bumped into him. Watch this. He goes, well, this is when he put the push on him right here. But he got him in that position by making a couple of moves across the back of that car.
Alan Gustafson and crew weren't pleased. See their driver fall from the lead after leading the most laps tonight.
And now Kyle is really starting to fall backwards. Remember, that bump, that's happening at over 185 miles per hour down there in the corner.
4 laps to go. And Tony Stewart, up until the green flag in the Budweiser shootout, has had a horrible day. In Daytona 500 qualifying practice early, he was on his mock qualifying run when a caution came out. They had to take the car to the garage, cool it down. About an hour later, he finally did get to make a run. They had a fuel pump problem. Then he finally got to make a run and was 9th fastest on the day. But it has been a trying day for Tony Stewart. All that's forgotten now. He's out front here with 3.5 laps to go.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car, bringing Kyle Busch in the 5 with him to the bottom. Just not sure they're going to have near enough laps to get up to the front, though.
No, and it's going to be it's going to take some help
behind it
for Gilliland to be able to pull out and make a pass on Tony Stewart. Tony's car is really, really fast.
3 laps to go as they come to the stripe. Right there. Stewart's Chevrolet, Gilliland's Ford, and Sadler's Dodge, the front 3. Vickers is the first Toyota. He's in 9th place.
Now, if Sadler, if he could get up to the back bumper of Gilliland and really give him a push down the back, they might be able to make something happen.
But now Kurt Busch,
here comes Kurt
Busch. He got Sadler up high a little bit. He's trying to take 3rd place away with help from Harvick in the 29.
Kevin Harvick gives him a little push into turn 3, and look at him go by the Dodge on the outside.
And he's out there with no help right now. Elliott Sadler.
That's pretty impressive, that 2 car to come back, because I'm telling you, he was caught 3 wide, went all the way to the back, and here he is up in 3rd place, got a shot.
Our DLP Ultimate Picture Cam suspended by cables above the start-finish line, where in just 2 laps, somebody is going to hit the bank.
Well, we know what Tony Stewart in the 20 car is going to do for 5 more miles. He's going to hug that yellow line right there.
Boy, I tell you, Gilliland is really closing up, but he loses a little ground off of 2 right there. Car's probably a little tight. If he can get some help from behind, he might be able to make a run down the back going into 3.
And that's the big question. Will that number 2 of Kurt Busch help him or go his own way?
That's dictated by what kind of run he has. If he's got a passing run, Kurt might go with him. If he's just got to get out there and get hung run, he's going to get hung out to dry.
1 lap to go. somebody is about to win at least $215,000.
Kurt Busch keeps peeking around back there in that 2 car.
You got to get closer together than that.
Dale Earnhardt won this race a record 6 times. Jeff Gordon, 3-time winner. Nobody else has won more than 2. Excuse me, Dale Jarrett's a 3-time winner. Nobody else has banked more than 2. Tony Stewart could win his 3rd right here. Here they come for the flag.
Whoa.
Big crash.
Denny Hamlin involved.
Stewart, Gilliland, Busch, the finish. Tony Stewart wins his 3rd Budweiser shootout as Elliott Sadler and Denny Hamlin come across the line in a shower of sparks.
Last year's winner in the infield wrecked on the last lap.
Within about 200 yards of the start-finish line.
See, I think I've seen Everhand cars torn up more the last couple of laps of races than anybody cars I can remember.
And Kyle Busch, who led the most laps, has to be satisfied with 7th.
Nice job, Tony.
And how about the rookie David Gilliland?
That's pretty impressive, boys.
Finishing 2nd to Stewart by 13/100ths of a second.
Because he got
there
shoved
he
in the
is.
back.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
But you know what this does? It just gives him more and more confidence every time he has a run like this.
With a team like he has, Todd Parrott on the pit box, the way that car runs, yeah, I'd say they got a lot to look forward to next Sunday.
Elliott Sadler and Dale Earnhardt Jr. both okay. Jr. drives away. And Denny Hamlin climbs out. Last year a winner. This year crashed on the final lap.
I wish you'd look at that. Both the Rays cars torn all to pieces. It's amazing.
Now again, these are not the cars that they will race in the Daytona 500 and in qualifying tomorrow. Stewart has a signature celebration. Not sure he'll get to do it here tonight, but let's look at this finish. Watch the 19 and the 11 and the 8.
Oh, I think Junior got in the back of Elliott.
And nowhere for Denny Hamlin to go.
And Elliott then went down the track into the 11, almost turned him over, and here comes his teammate Casey Kane and rams into the side of the 11 car.
Greg Biffle was also involved.
And you know, Mike, none of these cars are their Daytona 500 cars, but a lot of them are their backup Daytona 500 cars.
Hard to tell if Sadler was already a little loose when Dale Jr. got to him. But there certainly was enough contact to send him around.
This look here may give it to us.
Looked to me like the 8 probably got into the back of the 19, just enough to turn him. Yeah, right there.
Doesn't take much at that kind of speed.
Riding with Elliott Sadler.
Boy, that was a hard lick on Denny Hamlin, the 11.
I think that's Casey Kane's car. Yeah.
Just checking that. That was Casey Kane.
Still inside. He got all the help.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's Sadler.
Yeah. And I thought maybe Sadler lifted, but it sure didn't sound like it. It just sounded like it maybe Junior lifted him up off the ground, got him sideways. This ought to tell the tale right here.
Now let's use our Fox 3D here, which uses GPS positioning to show where the cars were when things started to happen.
See that little nudge?
Little bump right there.
And away they went. Everybody walked away. That's the good news. But there are some badly damaged race cars. We'll go to victory lane and Steve Burns.
Tony Stewart wins his 3rd Budweiser shootout. Mike climbs out of that number 20 Home Depot Chevrolet. Guess congratulations from Greg Zipadelli. And Tony, you said the other night this was the happiest you had ever been coming into a season. Talk about your frame of mind and talk about that gutsy move on the 5 car to get past him.
I mean, we were really good. We speed-wise, we were unbelievable. But you know, with 2 Chevys up front like that and a Ford behind us, I was a little nervous. But I was sandwiched in between some Busch brothers before the caution comes out. But we just, you know, I knew when we came out of the pits and saw that the 9 car took 2, and I knew the 5 took 2, but that at least got us back with the 5, and that's who I wanted to run with. We were a really good combination together, and I was wondering if the tires were going to become a factor, and I finally got a chance to really push him real hard into 1 once, and it got him loose, and then he went up the track a little bit, and then when he tugged it down, I caught him right there and didn't touch him, but just caught him enough that you know, Goodyear's really put all of us in a bind with this hard tire. It's just so hard to drive these things after you get laps on them, but you know, that was the save of the year. I mean, Kyle did an awesome job, and I don't know how many guys could have saved that car. He did an awesome job of catching it.
All right, thanks. Congratulations, Tony. Krista?
Chevy!
Perhaps he feels like a winner, that's for sure. As David Gillen pulled his car up, your crew chief Todd Parrott said, now that's what I'm talking about. Can you even put into words what you're feeling right now?
No, just a lot of excitement, you know, just very proud to be able to bring home the M&M's Ford Fusion. You know, a great finish. You know, our main thing is to try and get this thing started off this year, start off with a little momentum, and I really feel like we have a great chance coming in here. You know, Todd Parrott and all the guys at the shop worked their tails off all winter, and I think the 2 tests and this coming out like this just shows how very hard they've worked, and Robert Yates Racing is back, and I'm just proud to be a part of it.
All right, we're excited to see what you can do on Sunday. To Dick.
A terrific run to finish in 3rd position. What did you need to get those other 2 cars?
I keep building my restrictor plate program, whether it's the team or myself. I feel like we're getting closer. But the Gold World Beer Cup car for Miller Lite did great in the shootout tonight.
Terrific job. Matt?
We've caught up with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jr., what happened on that final lap?
Very self-explanatory. If you watch the tape, I got in the back of Elliott trying to bump draft, and he wasn't up on the straightaway yet. So I got into him too early and wrecked him and wrecked both Ray's cars. So I'm sorry about that. But, you know, we just... You know, we're back there trying to do what we could do, and I was trying to help a friend of mine and just got overzealous and overdid it.
And he came by to make sure he was all right. You saw him up on the front stretch. Mike?
Earnhardt Jr. finishes 15th, Sadler 16th, and Hamlin 17th. As Tony Stewart notches the 4th Budweiser Shootout victory for car owner Joe and J.D. Gibbs. His own 4th win in this all-star sort of race. David Gilliland, the rookie, gets the glass slipper, 2nd place. Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick.